Welcome to Village Church Online. My name is Jeremy, and I am the senior pastor of Village Church. And at Village Church, one of our key priorities is that we be a church that actually brings good into the world around us. And we do that in many different ways, or try to at least. But one of those ways is by partnering with organizations that are fighting against evil and injustice all over the world. One of those is International Justice Mission. And I hope that you'll be inspired by what we hear about all the incredible reports of how actual change has happened in areas of the world where we've seen human trafficking, modern-day slavery, and all sorts of different horrible injustices, but the impact that's been made through a partnership that we've had with IJM. Also, we're going to hear from a survivor who actually has been rescued out of this and now is an advocate for other people to be rescued and rehabilitated out of some absolutely horrible injustices that take place all around the globe. I do want to warn you that when this survivor shares, it is going to be graphic at times because the experience that she has lived through is itself graphic. And so I want to give you that warning that it might be sensitive content, and if it's something where you've experienced abuse or things in your life, you may just want to have some discretion, or if you have children around, you may want to have some discretion just about how you listen to this and how you engage. But I hope that this is really powerful, and I hope that this really captures the heart of what the church should be about, which is bringing justice to people who need it desperately, the hope of God into the world because of what Christ has done for us. So engage with me, and let's hear about the amazing things that IJM and Village Church have done together. I remember I was in one of the areas of the world where we are partnered with IJM, and I was with a field office there, and they got a call, and the call was from the police and the government agencies, and they were informing them that they were doing a rescue operation just like that. And it was incredible to watch because the team there was so overjoyed, and not just because they knew that people were being rescued out of unfathomable hardship and persecution, but there was actually a bigger thing going on, which was they were so excited because they weren't the ones doing the rescuing this time. It was the city, it was the government. It was it was seeing the world changing, is what it was. And it was an incredible amount of hope. And for us at Village Church, this kind of work is and will be foundational and crucial for us, for hopefully as long as we are a church.
because it's really the heart of what it means to be the church in the world, and it's the heart of what it means to have the heart of Christ in us as human beings in the world around us. When we look at, in the New Testament, the end of the New Testament, in the book of Revelation, there's this picture of what the end of things kind of looks like and the establishment of eternity, an eternity with God. And in Revelation 21, I just want to read you a little bit of what it says. It says this. It says, I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of God is with humanity, and he will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for the former things have passed away. And he who was seated on the throne said, behold, I am making all things new. This is the hope for the world that we have. And so our job as the church, our job as Christians, is to live into this reality. This is what will be. There will be a time when there will not be the exploitation of anyone, when no one will be under the evil, oppressive forces of darkness in the world. Everyone will be liberated from that. No one will suffer injustice because we will be living with God in his kingdom, come here, in a reality that maybe we only get glimpses of. But those glimpses are powerful. And those glimpses are things I want us to understand today, because we are seeing incredible, incredible stuff happening in the area of fighting against injustice in the world. And we are partnered with all sorts of organizations that do this kind of work, but the one that we're going to feature today is International Justice Mission. And we did a Freedom Sunday kind of like this a year and a half ago. And what we wanted for you to understand the impact that happens when we do these things. Not for this to be something that we just forget about and we go on and, oh yeah, way back we did this thing or something. We want you to understand what the impact actually is on the ground of doing this work together, the impact you are having in the world when it comes to this stuff, because it's actually staggering. So today is as much about understanding the issue and understanding our role in it as a church, as much as it is a celebration. This really should be a celebration today about what God is doing through the partnership of our church and an organization like International Justice Mission here in Canada and around the world. And I hope you're inspired today, and I hope that you walk away from today, understanding this issue and understanding your role as a Christian potentially in it, but also understanding that there is a greater hope that we believe in, that this will change, and that every tear will be wiped, and oppression will be no more. I mean, that's our message. And that is something we need our country to hear, and we need the world to hear from us as boldly as ever before. So in doing that, I want to invite two guests to the stage. He is the National Director of Mobilization and Advocacy here in Canada for International Justice Mission, and she is our very own Director of Impact for global work and for city and local missions. So this is Joash Thomas and Kaitlyn Weinberger. Why don't you welcome them to the stage? Hey guys, how are you doing? It's great to have you here. Now, just so you guys understand a little bit of history, so about 7 years ago was when our partnership with IJM really started kind of in earnest, and we held a golf tournament. And in that tournament, we raised money so that we could support work happening in South Asia, in the region there, in a specific area around labor slavery. And so we raised, at that golf tournament, nearly $500,000 for that work. And we got to go, about a year later, to the area to see the office there and to see the work and the impact already of what was happening. And while we were there, it was stunning to see, but we were introduced then to another field office in that region. And that office was specifically dealing with the issue of kind of sex trafficking and minors in the sex trafficking industry there in that particular region and city. And so we started an ongoing partnership our church with that particular field office where we established a relationship and we helped in funding the work of that particular office. And now we're 7 years later, and you guys at IJM have done some studies in those regions which have shown some absolutely staggering results of this work. And why don't you just get into it for us and what IJM has seen in those areas, because I want everybody to understand that this stuff isn't just theory, that this stuff is actually impactful and real lives are completely changed in ways that probably we don't even understand through this work. So go ahead. Joash.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeremy. And that's exactly why I'm here. I'm here to encourage you that your giving matters because it has mattered in the past. So in South Asia, for example, we operated in 3 regions with support from Village Church. This is your giving to your church that's gone directly to our programs there. And in one region, we saw a drop of child sex trafficking by 76%. Yeah. And as if that isn't crazy enough, in another region, and this is one of the regions that Jeremy got to visit with a team many years ago, we saw child sex trafficking reduced by 80% in that region. Yeah.
It's incredible. And just so people understand, like, there's one part of that region where when I was there, I have walked down a road known as kind of the worst of this stuff. And walking that road it's heartbreaking. And so to have done that, and what personally even I have seen on the ground there, and then to hear this is unbelievable, because I think in that one region where I walked, they actually found 0 minors in the industry anymore. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. 0 children.
Just think about that. Like, that is solving the problem, right? Done. It's anyways. It's crazy.
So great. Yeah. And last but not the least, to cap off that region's report, and this is one I'm really excited about because you did a golf tournament many years ago that Pastor Jeremy just mentioned, and we sent all the money raised from this golf tournament to this 3rd region, and in that region we saw labor trafficking reduced by 82%.
So incredible. And as Jeremy said, we began our partnership with IJM in South Asia, and we really had a focus to combat child sex trafficking. And as you heard, that has happened. So now our partnership, in terms of financial, has shifted to all of IJM sex trafficking casework. So that means we now get to impact multiple regions around the world. And what we really love about IJM, which is so many things, but one of the things, as Jeremy alluded to before, is their goal is not to stay in a place forever. It's a win when they get to leave a country, and that's exactly what you're seeing in the Dominican Republic. The local justice system is doing what it's supposed to. It's protecting the vulnerable, especially children. So Joash, give us the exciting news about what's happening there.
Yeah, we threw a party in the Dominican Republic recently because we shut down an office after more than a decade of work of strengthening the justice system there, after which we reduced child sex trafficking across the DR by 78%.
Wasn't there a story where I remember we were at a dinner or something, an IJM thing, and we went away from that saying, we should talk to IJM about how we can get more involved in the Dominican Republic, and then you did, and then the news was, don't, because we're leaving. And we were like, okay, well, that's good. Then let's find somewhere else, right?
Totally. Yeah, such exciting news. And this next region is one that we started to hear a little bit more about during the initial the start of the Ukraine war. And so when Ukrainians were fleeing to neighbor regions, the IJM Romania team set up around the border because traffickers prey when people are the most vulnerable. And so their team was there with resources and just different opportunities to protect those who were fleeing into their country. And so Joash, what has it looked like for your team in Romania to continue protecting Ukrainian refugees?
Absolutely. So we opened our office in Romania right before the war in Ukraine happened. And it was just divine providence for us to have been there before all that went down. But, we started asking who has influence across communities in Romania that we should be partnering with. And we realized It was the people of God. It was the church, right? And so we at IJM work with the global church, everyone who follows Jesus. So we built this partnership with the Orthodox Church all across Romania. And we basically trained the Orthodox Church with biblical justice resources. We made these resources available to the Orthodox Church in Romania. And that resulted in hundreds and really thousands of cases of sex trafficking being prevented of these Ukrainian women and children coming unaccompanied across the border. So that's another way we do partnerships too.
So amazing. And I think it's such a great reminder for us as a church that we do have such an important role in this, and the education piece is so key. So love that your team is doing that. And so this final region is one I had the privilege of visiting in 2019, and our special guest is from there. So it's the Philippines. And what really blew me away about their staff team is the joy that radiates from all of their staff. And when knowing the darkness that they have to see and work within on a daily basis, it just kind of seems unfathomable that they could have that much joy. But it's a reminder that they know where their hope really comes from, and that they know who trumps the darkness. And so we initially, when IJM was invited into the Philippines, they were focusing on child sex trafficking. And so as we've heard, they've seen an incredible reduction by 76% to 80% in 3 of the major cities in child sex trafficking. So it's really incredible that has happened. But now the big focus is OSEC, which is the online sexual exploitation of children. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And Joash, what is the Philippines team seeing in terms of OSEC?
Yeah, Kaitlyn, we recently did the study. We do a lot of studies, as you can tell, because we want to know the impact of what we're doing, right? We want hard data. And so we recently did the study that was released just last month. It was with the University of Nottingham. And it's called a Scale of Harm study. You could look it up. But in this study was some really dark news. The news that the online sexual exploitation of children has spread rapidly during the pandemic. And we have data that now says that 1 in 100 Filipino children are abused in this way online. 1 in 100. That's 500,000 children in the Philippines right now. So the need is bigger than ever before to take on this type of trafficking. That's what we'll be doing together this morning as well. But something else I want to add to that is with that bad news, there's also hope. There's hope because you see, many years ago, we did this advocacy campaign called Not On My Screen. Some of you may remember that if you've been supporting us for a while. And one of the asks of that campaign was that the RCMP and the Canadian government would have a dedicated police officer in the Philippines to focus on the online sexual exploitation of children. Because we have studies that also say that Canada is number 4 in the world when it comes to, we're in the top 4 when it comes to demand for online sexual exploitation materials of children. So we prayed, we did this advocacy campaign, and I'm thrilled to report that prayer has been answered. In fact, I was just in the Philippines a few weeks ago with a group of Canadian church partners or pastors, and we visited the Canadian Embassy in Manila. And we got to meet the answer to our prayers. An incredible RCMP officer named Yanni, whose 100% of his job is to basically focus on online sexual exploitation of children in the Philippines because of Canadian demand, to share intelligence with local law enforcement, the embassies of other countries in the area, that kind of stuff. And it was just so inspiring to sit across him and hear story after story of how much he appreciated our work in the Philippines. In fact, he was bragging about our team in the Philippines to us, and it was just great to see that. So yes, there's darkness, and we'll be pulling into the darkness a bit more, but there's also hope because God answers our prayers and he moves through his people, the church.
What's so challenging about this kind of work is really that the evil is so strong. You start to eradicate this in one way, and then it evolves, right? So you make a lot of ground up physically on the streets, and then it goes digital. But like we read in Revelation 21, it doesn't matter how far the evil flees and tries to hide, it will be illuminated and it'll be defeated. And what I love about IJM is that they are dedicated to doing the hardest work that they possibly have to do to chase down that injustice wherever it goes in whatever form it takes. And I want to say we as Village Church are the same, that we will do the same, and we will partner with you in chasing down that evil wherever it goes, however hard it is, because we have the hope that it will be eradicated. It will. And so that's what we're committed to. And so I want to thank you and your organization for what you're doing. Partnering with you is amazing because they're professionals. They know how to do this stuff and get results. We don't need to rethink it. What we need to do is be obedient to ask them how we can support their work so that they can have the kind of impact we're seeing. And so we're going to continue to do that. So thank you, Joash, for being here today. You're going to come back out with me in a few minutes. But thank you for being here. And Kaitlyn, thank you for the amazing way you advocate and work for this here at our church. Thank you both. We'll see you in a bit. So we now have the privilege of inviting someone in a second to our stage, which is an absolute and incredible honor for us as a church to be able to do this. This is one of the most inspiring people you will probably ever hear from. She is a survivor of exactly what we've been talking about in the Philippines. And her story has been shared and has won awards. Now, I have to warn you that if you're someone who has dealt with abuse or things of this nature in your life, there could be parts of this that could be really hard and challenging for you to hear, and that's okay if you need to leave, if you need to step out. But it is an honor for me to be able to welcome you to our stage, and we want to make sure we protect you. So I have to ask you, no photos, no video, no sharing of this online, however you're watching this, whether it's live or it's on video. We have to protect identities in this. It's really, really important, so please respect that. But thank you so much for being with us today. Why don't we give an amazing welcome to Ruby.
Thank you. A pleasant morning, everyone. Again, I am Ruby from the Philippines, a survivor of online sexual exploitation. 10 years ago, I was trapped in a guarded house, and I wanted to share with you today how it happened. I grew up in one of the provinces of the Philippines, youngest out of 10 siblings. My parents were both farmers, and we had a very limited resources. Because of that, my siblings slowly left for the cities to seek better jobs. I was content to stay with my parents, but life was never the same. When I turned 11, I lost my father due to heat stroke, and not even a year after, cancer claimed my mother, and I was just 13 years old. Emptiness filled my life upon losing both of my parents. I didn't know how to move on. I couldn't even answer when people asked me what are my dreams and my plans. My siblings offered to take me in, but I decided to continue to stay in the house where I grew up with my parents' happy memories. I learned to survive literally on my own. My siblings supported me financially, yes. They would visit me twice a month, but those were unhappy visits. They would verbally abuse and physically hit me. And one afternoon, I was on the couch in the living room after school. My sister walked in asking questions. The neighbors had told her that I was partying and drinking over the weekend. I tried to explain that it was not a party, just a dance practice for school. But instead, she yanked out the TV cable and started hitting me with it. "You need to be disciplined," she said, covering my body in bruises, leaving me with a black eye. And today, I still have that scars from that beating. Since then, I cried myself to sleep, wishing my parents were still alive. I couldn't take the pain and violence anymore from my siblings. One day, a total stranger sent me a message on Facebook. "Are you looking for a job?" The message came with a friend request. I accepted it and said yes. Then she offered me a job that was too good to turn down. I remember thanking God for sending this person. It seemed like the long-awaited light amongst all the darkness I was facing. The job was to staff a computer shop with free food, lodging, and she even allowed me to take classes at night after work. She even sent me transport money to get to the location. So I packed up, I boarded a ship, making an overnight journey to the location. I followed her directions through text messages and got off the bus on the nearest terminal to the actual house, and the man picked me up from there. I found out later that he was the one who cooks our food and guards the locked doors outside. "We're here," he told me as we stopped in front of a house with a red gate. The gate had a big chain and padlock on it. He gestured to enter the house. I saw a well-maintained, spacious 3-bedroom house, far from the computer shop that I was anticipating. I felt my mind exploded in panic as I saw naked girls walk out of a room. When I was told what was the actual job, I tried to leave, but she told me I had to first return the transport money she sent, 5,000 pesos, about 120 Canadian dollars. Maybe for some who are in this room today, that is not a significant amount. But because I didn't have money, I was trapped in a guarded house. Yellow walls, windows were covered with thick curtains. I thought to myself, okay, I'll work till I can pay her the amount. But my debt kept growing, as all of my earnings were considered as payment for my food, toiletries, and everything that I used inside the house. I can remember the taste of my tears when every single time customers from different countries asked me to perform in front of a camera. They forced me to take off my clothes in front of strangers and touch my own body just to satisfy their lustful desires. I was only 16. Every time I did that, it felt like there was a big thing blocking in my throat and crushing my chest. I wanted to scream, but instead of sound, tears came. I had to do it, even if every inch of my being didn't want to. Because if I refused, I would be starved, left to sleep on the bare floor. Excuse me. And drink unclean water from the tap. Every day felt like a never-ending dark night. They confiscated my phone, so there was no way I could call my family for help. But I was so desperate to escape that every time a police siren went by, I would run on the front door and bang on it. And one time after I did this, a lady grabbed a knife. She pointed it at me, saying, "If you won't stop, I will stab you." I felt the cold, sharp tip of the knife against my throat. I looked around, but nobody was willing to help. So I retreated to the bathroom, and even though I didn't know back then if God would really be able to help, I kneeled, facing the bathroom walls. I cried, "God, if you are real, please take me out of here." And it was as if God answered my prayers right away. The next day, it was July 13, 2013. I was drying my hair when our guard shouted, "There's police!" I remember the owner and her husband warning us not to tell police our real identities. If we do, our families will be imprisoned with us for allowing us to work there. But I knew they were lying. I handed my school ID to one of the police officers and asked her what information she needed. After that, we were escorted by IJM social workers. I still feel the soft, warm blanket being wrapped around me, the IJM social workers' arms around me, protecting me as I walked out of the house into the light of freedom. Even though I was free, the healing journey was difficult and long. The trial lasted for 4 long years and was a constant reminder of the darkness of abuse. I struggled with flashbacks. I felt so dirty and ashamed. I even thought of just ending my life. Even though I was safe in an aftercare shelter, I would try to harm myself when I was alone. I did not want to live anymore. It would take years of counseling, many battles in my head, and it was my identity in Christ that kept me going. That traumatic experience had an extremely negative impact on my life. But today, I'm here. I am a survivor. I made it. I graduated from college and I'm working to support my family. But most importantly, I am also an advocate, a leadership council member of the Global Survivor Network, a group of survivor leaders raising our voices around the globe. There is so much violence happening in the darkness, but we are shining a light on it through our stories. And as I listen to the stories of my fellow survivors, I cannot unhear them. My story is just one, but I believe that it is enough to serve as evidence that this kind of evil in this world exists. Even as I prepared to share my story, I had mixed emotions. I felt thankful for a platform, but I also felt shame. Sharing the most intimate details of traumatic experiences that happened to me on a daily basis is not easy, but I did, so that you would at least have an idea how it affects victims. I found myself welling up in tears as I prepared my speech today, and it was really hard. But I must tell you all that I can, because you have to know about this crime. And what really drives me to be vulnerable to a group of strangers in a foreign country, it is because there are others who have not been restored yet, victims that are still trapped, waiting for their time to be rescued. This rapidly growing crime of online sexual exploitation destroys the lives of innocent children. It is happening, and not just in the Philippines. We do not have time to waste. We must help, we must act, and now is the time. In my role, I have spoken to business and corporations, donors, government officials. I've spoken before the UK Parliament. I consult with IJM to make sure it is survivor-informed and led. I work with other survivor leaders in the Philippines, especially those in the Philippine Survivor Network. We know that the path towards justice and healing is not easy, but we are committed to illuminating the way forward, one survivor at a time. It is a difficult and complicated process for survivors, and we need your help. Join us as we advocate for access to justice, that systems that are supposed to protect us do not harm us. One last thing that I wanted to say is, I might be the one standing here before you, but I am really a representation of a group of survivor leaders in the Philippines. Their voices is my voice, and we validate each other's stories. Also, I am doing this in the hope to magnify the strength within them. We are more than what happened to us. We are strong survivors. We are great leaders. Maraming salamat po. Thank you and good morning.
Unbelievable. Ruby, we are so honored to have you here. And the work that you are doing after what you've experienced is just so inspiring. And I just hope that our church can do justice to your call to us, and that we can live up to what it is that you're asking of the church, but right now of our church. And so we are committed. We are dedicated to fighting this with you. So thank you so much for being here today. And
Thank you for having me.
really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So about a year and a half ago, we did a Sunday like this. And I got out here and I remember challenging us. And I said, what if, instead of us chasing after this stuff, what if our church could actually lead in this? What if we could lead the Canadian church in this? What if we could lead even the Canadian culture in this? And rather than following a trend of fighting against injustice in the world or something, we could actually lead Canada and the world as a group of Christians, this church, in mobilizing to fight this stuff and change the world for Christ and the hope that we have in Him. What if we could do that? So I want to tell you about what that's looked like since we did that a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, we put out that call, and we had 320 households decide to formally partner with IJM as a result of that weekend, which is absolutely unbelievable and blew IJM away. Right? And as a result of that ongoing partnership, just in a year and a half, has meant somewhere in the neighborhood of about probably $375,000 of funding for things like the rescue operations we just heard about. That's equivalent to about how many rescue operations in the last year and a half?
That's 38 rescue operations in the last year and a half, funded by you.
Okay. So here's the thing, though. On top of that, we as a church, just your regular financial support of the church, a portion of that goes to an ongoing relationship with partners like IJM. So when you add that into the whole mix, we're talking about probably in the last year and a half funding how many rescue operations?
That would be 50 rescue operations.
50 rescue operations in the last year and a half since we last did this Sunday. Here's the thing. Ruby's story, when she was rescued, there were 5 of them. In some of these rescue operations I've seen, been a part of, whatever, like there can be up to hundreds of people rescued at a time in these areas, in this kind of work. So I don't think it's crazy to say that in the last year and a half, because of the partnership literally of just Village Church and IJM Canada, that we may have rescued 1,000 people out of what we, just like Ruby, which should just blow us away, but at the same time we should be proud of. Because we serve a God that makes this possible. We serve a God that will wipe every tear from every eye and that will bring injustice to an end. So there's been more impact than even than that, right? In our country. So just, before I just keep going for 20 more minutes on this, you jump in and tell us some of the other impact you've seen.
Absolutely, Jeremy. I want to go back to something that you just shared. You talked about this desire of people at Village Church to not just fight injustice, but to lead the Canadian church movement against injustice. Well, I am here to report back to you that you have done exactly that. So I lead our church partnerships all across Canada for IJM. And we made a video of what happened here at Village Church. It's still on our website. And we sent that video to hundreds of churches all across the country. And we told them, hey, look what God did here at Village Church. Will you join this movement of what the Holy Spirit is doing all across Canada? And they said yes. So just between your last Freedom Sunday and this one today, we have seen 200 Canadian churches respond to that invitation.
Unbelievable.
To join our work.
I mean, so what we just talked about this impact, and then 200 times that. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. if people are here and they're saying to themselves, what do I do next with this? Of course, we have a partnership and it's ongoing, but if you are stirred right now and you're just like, I want to know what I can do, I want to be a part of that specifically, just what do people do?
Yeah, well, the very first thing I want to say, Jeremy, and I promise you, your pastor didn't ask me to say this. I'm saying this as a partner. If this is your church home and you don't currently give to your church, can I encourage you to start giving today? Because this is where your giving goes, and this is what your giving has made possible. And if you do give to your church, maybe consider giving more so that your church is able to fund more rescue operations with IJM all over the world. But I also get the sense that there are so many of you here who have heard Ruby's story firsthand. And by the way, this is the first time we've brought a survivor leader to Canada to teach at a Canadian church. So this is, just life-changing that we all get to participate in this Freedom Sunday. But I get the sense that many of you here aren't waiting to be convinced anymore. You're just ready to respond and jump in with the hundreds of others at Village Church who've already become Freedom Partners. And for the hundreds of you here that are already Freedom Partners, watching online at all your locations across Canada, maybe you're looking to jump in more. So we have this exciting opportunity for you that we want to invite you back into, called a Freedom Partner opportunity. Now, before I even share what a Freedom Partner opportunity is, let's do this together. Go ahead, pull your phone out. Just hold your phone in your hand. And here's why I'm asking you to hold your phones out. It's because bad guys everywhere, all over the world, have weaponized technology for evil. And you just heard that story firsthand. But today, we're going to take our little pieces of technology and we're going to use it for good. We're going to use it for justice and rescue. So if what Ruby shared with you here has resonated with you and you're looking to jump in with us, go ahead and scan the QR code that you see on the screen. Let me give you a moment to do that. Freedom Partners are a community of generous IJM supporters all across Canada who commit to funding the work of rescue month after month at $50 a month or more. Now, just so you know, $50 a month is the equivalent of one aftercare kit for one rescued child every single month. So when you sign up as a Freedom Partner today, you are committing to show up for one rescued child, just like Ruby, every single month. Now, Jeremy, I get the sense that many of us here have been entrusted with much. And especially the dads listening to this, you're probably thinking your families right now, and you're thinking, you know what? We can do this for 2 children a month at $100 a month, and it wouldn't even cost us anything. We can do this for 5 children a month at $250 a month. Awesome. Do that with us today. To sign up as a Freedom Partner, just scan the QR code, fill out the online form, and there's also another exciting reason why we want to invite you to sign up as a Freedom Partner. You see, we had a donor who was so inspired by your last Freedom Sunday and who wanted to be a part of this Freedom Sunday that they have told us that for every single person here who signs up as a Freedom Partner, they will match your giving for the first 6 months. Okay, yeah, you can clap for that. So wherever you are, online, all your other locations, if you sign up at $50 a month, that becomes $100 a month for the first 6 months. $100 a month becomes $200 a month. $250 a month becomes $500 a month. So double your impact. Take advantage of this matching opportunity. One last thing I'll say as you're signing up, we have a very special gift for you who sign up as a Freedom Partner, or for those of you who increase your gift. But it's limited stock, so we can only give it to the first 60 people who sign up. So if you sign up online, your chances of getting this go way through the roof. We have a special hat, just like this, and it has Village Church, it has IJM, and winners here, so you can wear this, you can rock this out, you can tell your family, your friends at work, your colleagues, your people you go to school with. You can tell them about the impact that your church has already had in ending this issue of online sexual exploitation. And you can use this really to use your voice on behalf of children all over the world whose voices are being suppressed right now. So again, we only have 60 of these for the first 60 people who sign up. And if you sign up online, your chances go through the roof of getting this. But go ahead, sign up as a Freedom Partner, and we'll make sure we mail these to you.
That's great. Thank you, Joash. Be excited. Be proud of this today. People ask you, hey, I hear you go to church or something. Talk about this. Like, this is incredible. This is literally the world changing. And it's changing because of the power of Christ to change things through his church, through his people. And so, let's do something crazy. Let's just embrace this and do something crazy as a church, because the vision for this is not that this is the end point of all of this. Like, this report was not, the conclusion on a relationship. This is the beginning of the relationship. This is only the beginning of what is possible. And I believe that there are things we can't even imagine that God can do through our church, our partnership with IGM, and the rest of the Canadian church to see something incredible happen in our country and beyond our borders around the world, to just change things for his good until that day comes when everything is changed and he's made all things new. So let's really get behind this. But this is his work, so why don't you join me in praying into this, because none of this is possible if it's not the Spirit of God moving and changing things. So let's pray. God, we just give ourselves to you in awe today, because we read about what you are in the Bible, a God of justice, and then we see that at work and how you use us to do that. So God, would you continue more and more and more to do that, so that we would see many, many, many more come to be rescued because of your grace and love through your church. Would you inspire us, God, to step out in faith into this kind of work? Whether it's through IJM or it's through other means just in our life, God, give us a heart for this because it's your heart. God, we pray all of this and we give it to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
I will not fear my failure. In weakness, I know you're strong. I will not fear the ashes, for I know you're in them, redeeming it all. I will not fear the valleys when pulled from the mountain tops, for death cannot overcome what you've already won. Took my shame to the cross. Oh, what peace washes over me. For I've not been given a spirit of fear, but a sound mind. Oh, what peace washes over me. Though I walk through the valley of death, my God will not forsake me. I will not fear the outer when you whisper no. I will